So for weeks, really, I've been meaning to film a video about intentions and goals, not for the coming year, but just kind of for this return to knitting, for being able to knit again. I have so many ideas and things that I do aim to do, and I really love watching other people's videos about goals and intentions. So that's what I've been meaning to do for weeks. And do you know what was never going to be on that list of goals and intentions? Do you know what I've spent every spare minute for the last few weeks doing instead of filming that video? Completely beautiful. Hi, hello. I'm a spinster. It's okay though. My husband understands that this is now the most important identification in my life. I cannot believe that how this has come together. I think spinning wasn't on my radar as something that could be a goal or an intention for the next period of crafting in my life, because I really thought that you had to have, you know, quite an initial investment to become a spinner. I thought that you needed to buy a spinning wheel. We live in a quite small apartment. We already have way too much stuff, mainly books. We have way too much stuff. I really thought, you know, a spinning wheel, even if I could afford it, even if I could justify that expense, there's nowhere to put it. And I really thought that it was the kind of thing that you needed to take formal classes to learn how to do. And I think that all of those things would be advantageous. I think they would all be a help, and I would love to take some classes at some point. But for the time being, I, you know, was watching some YouTube videos and watching in particular Jente at Minwolden. If you haven't checked her out, her sense of adventure and playfulness and fun and silliness, she's amazing. And bravery, she made me brave. I don't think I would be spinning if it wasn't for her. She made me brave. And I was also watching a lot of Lisa over at Soulful Spinning, and I believe that she's mentioned that she's a math teacher in the greater Chicago area, and she just has such a calming, you know, practical and uncomplicated approach to spinning, and makes it seem uncomplicated, and so she was a big part of this as well. I'm really grateful. I mean, I don't think that any of these, either of these women will ever necessarily see this, but if they do, thank you so much. I really don't think I would be a spinner without you. I would also be completely remiss if I didn't mention Abby Frankman's Respect the Spindle, which, I mean, I think this book really took the place of being able to attend an in-person class for me. This book is just an amazing reference. It has encouragement for when you get frustrated. It has guidelines on spinning, on plying, on, you know, where to head first with spindle weights, on the different kinds of spindles, on how to hold your spindle, on how to flick the spindle with your feet. This book is completely invaluable. Highly, highly recommend. And so I bought myself just a kind of learner's drop spindle, and I bought some commercially combed Shetland, Zwartbles, and Norwegian, and that's what I've been doing. And here's my first, I realize I'm wearing a terrible color to show this off, but here is my first spun 100 grams of Shetland. I'm gonna jump forward, and it's not consistent. It's underspun in places, overspun in other places. It's all over the place in terms of consistency. Look, you can see some really inconsistent parts here. But oh my God, it's yarn. And oh my God, it's yarn that I can do something with. And I wasn't following lots of the guidelines that I think I was doing this. So I didn't mention, I realized that a spinning wheel was not for me. So I've gone the way of spindles. Here's another Turkish spindle like I was spinning on a minute ago. This one's full up with Zwarples. Isn't that beautiful? When this one spins, it looks like a black-eyed Susan to me, with the light-colored leaves and the dark in the middle. Just, pleasing. So I've gone with spindles. Here's a slightly nicer drop spindle that I bought, and nicer than the practice. I mean, I'm still using the practice. I'm still using that. So I went the way of the spindle, and I used, the idea was that this would be more affordable, and it absolutely has been more affordable than a spinning wheel, but they have a way of multiplying. They have a way of multiplying. Actually, all of the ones that I've shown you here are from Carrie Spindles on Etsy. I'll link their shop below. In general, I'm not a big fan of showing acquisitions or that kind of thing. That's just not my thing, but I found it really helpful when I was looking to start to spin, seeing other spinners talk about places that were good to buy spindles, reliable spindles, good quality spindles. And hers, I believe it's Lynn is the name of the woman who runs Carrie Spindles, the shop on Etsy. They're affordably priced compared to other spindles that I've seen, and the quality is amazing. I like them better than some of the more expensive spindles that I've bought. I just can't say enough good things. So I will link that below in case you too are thinking about this. But so this, I spun this on a whole bunch of different weights of spindles, on drop spindles, on Turkish spindles. I didn't follow that rule for consistency. I think you're probably supposed to stay, with roughly the same type of spindle, roughly the same weight of the spindle to get a more consistent ply, to get a more consistent single, which you can then ply. But I wouldn't change any of it. I'm so pleased. Look at that. So I plied this on spindles as well. I was quite nervous about that because it seems like lots of people who spindle spin still ply on a wheel. And I plied on, maybe I can show you some pictures, but I plied on this spindle, which is again from Carrie Spindles. I'm a bit of an ad for that shop. I apologize if that's not your thing. This is elm, and it's 44 grams, and I found that worked really well. And I got the entirety of this. This is 101 grams. I got the whole thing on this spindle plied, and then it did break because it got too heavy. And so I did just the last little bit, just the last little bit on here. I've still got it on here. I haven't washed this yet. This is all washed and finished. This has not been washed, but that's just the last little bit of my white Shetland on this spindle is oak, and it's 62 grams. And I think in future I'll go with this one. I liked the heavier and it spun faster. I feel like I could ramble about, the learning curve of this at you for a long time. Initially, I started with a drop spindle, and then when I tried Turkish, I liked the Turkish spindle better. I found it was easier to spin it in a balanced way, in a smooth way, and I think, and this is, these might not be true for everyone, but for me, I think Turkish spindles spin a little bit slower, and so it gave me more time to draft. It gave me more time to figure out drafting, and that was really helpful. And I went through a phase of really loving Turkish spindles and thinking that that was going to be my preference. And I'm coming around a bit more, and I find myself reaching for my drop spindles a bit more in the last week or so. I think because I like the speed. I also think some of this is a little bit underplied, so I think, now that I'm not scared of drafting, I'm still not a good drafter, but now that I'm not scared of drafting, maybe drop spindles might be my go-to for the next little while. I want to try, I really want to try support spindles. I want to try Dilligan spindles. I want to try Basque spindles. There are so many exciting, there are some Asian spindles that I want to try. I mean, my gosh, there's just such a list. I'm gonna try to pace myself. For now, at least, the drop spindles and the Turkish spindles are keeping me very happy, and I'm in love with this. I'm admiring it. I'm keeping it as a hank for a little while at least, and then I don't know. I'm thinking of making. I do want to make something with this. I think I want to make something with this, and I've been thinking of making a blanket eventually. I'd love to make a blanket of all sorts of different British breeds of sheep. But this one I think I want to make for something that I'm going to use, something that I'm going to keep with me all the time. So I'm thinking of making a scarf, a small scarf. I didn't mention, so this is 100 grams. I believe it's come out at about a DK weight. I'm not certain of that, but I don't think I'll really know. You know, I tried using wraps per inch and things like that, but I know that that's not always accurate, so I think that it's DK. I don't think I'll really know for sure until I start knitting with it and see how it knits up and what needles feel best, but I've got about 200 meters of this, not counting the bit on here. So just over 200 meters, and I've found a few patterns, I'm not sure yet, but I think I'll make a little scarflet. So, short video, I don't want to ramble at you too much, but I'm in love with this. I may be making more, you know, knitting in the north, but also maybe spinning in the north videos coming up because I'm obsessed. And really, really happy. You know, I made yarn. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll leave you there with maybe some more footage of me having fun with my spindles. This is my newest spindle, and this one's from Ian at IST Crafts, or the Wood Emporium, I think it goes by both, his shop, and it's just beautiful. This was the second smallest size that he offers, and this one, I treated myself to this one in particular because it's made of bog oak. 5,000-year-old bog oak from Cambridgeshire, and Cambridgeshire is the first county that I lived in when I moved to the UK many years ago now, and it's where I met my partner, my husband. So Cambridgeshire, we lived there together for a long time. That's a very special place to me, and I love that this spindle, this bog oak, also comes from there. Though IST Crafts is based on the Isle of Man, so the spindle as the spindle doesn't come from there. But it's just beautiful. This one weighs, it's little, I believe it's 23 grams, mine, and it's got little brass rates in the edges, so it just, oh my god, it spins. It spins and spins and spins. So this is a special one.